weird.
It's weird.
You made it weird.
I made it weird. He said I made it weird. I said just don't go into show mode. You get on camera, everyone goes into show mode. It's like don't go into show mode. Judd wants it to
I got it. I wasn't in show mode until Rob said I'm going to show mode. I want to say I'm wearing these glasses to represent the part of me that is grieving. So I'm hiding my soul, as the Indians say, because it wasn't exactly an easy week for conservatives. But I got the hat. Do you know I got the hat just this week? It's the first time I've had one of these.
It's a great week for everybody, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm Rob Nelson. He's Judd Dunning. This is the part where we're actually telling you who we are. This is our Talking Smack and Cheese over Talking Smack over mac and cheese. But it rhymes so nicely. Talking Smack over mac and cheese. But we change the food every week for those of you who are just tuning in. So today it's Talking Smack over pizza.
Right, because it's a
all American
food review show
it's
as well.
It's not a food review. It's just we just have food.
Well, it just gives us a reason to eat on camera.
We eat on camera. Because food is what's going to unite America. So it is pizza today. I just need a little picture.
I'm taking off my glasses. I'm coming out in grief hole.
And Judd, everybody out there, thanks for watching. Some of you are elated. Some of you are in mourning. What I always say, good, go be elated. I get it. I'm happy to be. It's a little comical to me that people are out on the streets like the country's just been liberated. It's like it's like the dictator has fallen. We're on the streets. I'm sorry to my liberal friends out there. All over in big cities. It's like, okay, your life really wasn't that bad for the last 4 years for most of you. I mean, most of you are on protest. There's people whose lives were bad.
Yeah,
you're living in neighborhoods in America that life sucks.
But it was bad beyond politics.
It was bad before. It was bad before, and it needs to be fixed. And actually, Trump won more minority voters, which says something. Most of them aren't the ones in the street, but everybody like, woohoo, celebrate America's free. Yeah. It's like you were free.
It's like they were toppling Saddam or something yesterday, right?
That's how deep the Trump divide goes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 77 million other Americans are like, wow.
Well, yeah. As we know.
Which again, you don't need to cry.
No, I almost cried yesterday. But listen,
it's like I got mad when people cried.
Look at the shower I took this morning too. This is my unplugged show.
Scary. Can we see that again?
This is right. I wanted to do the unplugged show.
This is the gray Donald Trump.
Wait to see my suit in an hour.
But no, it's like, again, like I said, when Trump won, like everyone's like, it's the end of the world. I'm like, it wasn't the end of the world then. It's not, if you're a conservative, it's not the end of the world now that Biden won. It's really
it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of America.
No, but I tell you what it is we're going to run this experiment again. I mean, the way I see it is we're going to run the socialism experiment. We're going to ramp up the Affordable Act, which is Politico's lie of the year, right? You can keep your health care. So you can't keep your health care again. That's going to come back, right? The Green New Deal is going to ramp up. We're going to have all this green structure, which is going to expand government. They're saying racism and democracy is in crisis. So the government's going to be able to do whatever they want for 4 more years. And then we're going to run the right-wing experiment. Again, this is America. Democracy works. We're going to be okay.
Democracy works.
But it's just not, I'm just not happy about
Democracy works. Yeah. Democracy works. And by the way, I just got to say, okay,
go ahead.
First of all, it's a little annoying hearing, the unity thing. I'll be honest. All of a sudden, Democrats want unity. For me, everything comes down to hypocrisy and contradictions. That's just who I am, Judd. It's me, the Libra. So all the hypocrisy drives me nuts. No, I've said it's not so much who won or lost, Biden, Trump. I wasn't a huge Trump fan. I was glad Trump was in office because I like China bulls in the China shop. I like the people wrecking
to China, actually.
I like the institution wreckers. I don't think Trump wasn't my dream of the independent who comes in and changes it. No, Trump wasn't my dream. I wanted a people guy, a woman, whoever, somebody who could rally everyone and bring people together and crash on all the institutions. Trump could do the crashing.
He's an anti-institution.
He could do the anti-institution, but the rest was garbage for me.
The rest was garbage. What are you talking about? There's so much.
I'm saying some of the policies. I'm just saying he is a guy. He's still president. I'm not. It's not who wins or loses this election. That's my issue. It's the hypocrisy around it. It's the hypocrisy of everything. I mean, the protest is killing.
You're talking about the hypocrisy of the left right now as they've won, taking off their masks, dancing in the street,
and literally,
and suddenly they're unified and they're happy when they've been so viscerally angry
and now they want
4
unity.
years.
And it's like you've been hateful and now you want unity. But even more than that, when people are out on the streets, massive protests, woo-hoo-hoo, and the media is like, oh, great, go celebrate, America's free. And it's like, where's the COVID? It's truly, it's like if you can't get COVID. You can't get COVID you can't get COVID if it's a Democrat pro-Biden thing. You can only get COVID if it's Trump related. No, that I'm joking. That hypocrisy is stunning. I mean, literally stunning that you could have.
But we knew that. We knew that.
I knew it, but
we knew we were shutting down the country. So my daughter is so happy because she's been hearing on Instagram and Twitter from everybody that Biden's going to open the country now that he's won. She's like, oh, I'm going to go back to the clubs. I can't go to the restaurant. She went from so miserable to, oh, the Democrats are just going to give COVID a pass and solve things. And it seemed like it in the streets yesterday.
Right. And they are. So that hypocrisy. Okay, here's my thing. We're trying not to do super rants. Yeah. Let's have some pizza quick. This is a slice of pizza. Rob. This is Johnny's New York Pizzeria.
Right, that is yourself.
You know what? It's good. It's thin crust. It's good. I'll be honest.
Who was it? Wait,
Johnny's New York Pizzeria.
Johnny's New York. That's everywhere. So if you like pizza, Johnny's New York is your vote.
Well, my vote is Zafiro's Pizza in Milwaukee.
So look,
it's old school. It used to be a little old Italy. It was there when I was a kid.
Yeah,
still there, and it's still just
Ciro's Pizza.
Zafiro's.
Super
thin crust, crispy in Milwaukee. There's only one Zafiro's. Best pizza in Milwaukee.
So for those of you back home watching
in the Midwest,
but if you're here in LA, if you go to the gym every night at 11 o'clock, you can look like Rob and eat whatever you want because you're basically eating like what is this from 7-Eleven? Where is this from?
This is from
New York Pizza down the street?
In Venice. There's one.
In Venice.
Well, and we're almost in Venice. Duck, what are you guys talking about? Okay, I don't know if that means like we're not making sense or you want to know the topic.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about
what's next for America.
We're talking about what's next for America. And we're doing it in a real casual way because it's chaotic times. What's next for America going forward? And so let's do this in a couple pieces, Judge. We have just a teeniest bit of structure. Just want to say, I know we want it to be conversational.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, let's start with the election, whether it's over or not over. And this is an interesting spot because right now, Biden said he's president, Trump's mounting legal challenges. A lot of the media is saying, there should be Trump should concede. And here's the thing I just want to say. Trump has every right. You can argue whether he should be saying the election's stolen or fraudulent. He has every right to legally challenge. That's what the Constitution set up. The law sets up a process for legally challenging votes. And he has every right to do that. And, he may well win in the Supreme Court in certain cases. He may well in Pennsylvania, where the state legislature said votes have to be received by election day. That was the law. And the state Supreme Court said, no, you can go 3 days further. The Supreme Court could well go, no, the Supreme Court does not have the right in the state of Pennsylvania to overturn what the legislature set up to be and say no votes count that weren't, and Pennsylvania would go to Trump. That wouldn't be enough for him to win. But to argue he doesn't have a right to legally challenge stuff, they do. And clearly there's evidence of shenanigans out there. How much the little tiny bit of fraud stuff you're going to find, or whether you'll find big scale, it's out there. And he has every right to challenge it, is all I'm saying. He has every right to challenge it. You're already jumping
in the meta conversation. The meta conversation is, okay, what are we, a banana republic? Seriously, so to certify a vote is standard. It happens in normal votes anyway. We're in the certification period for a couple of weeks, right? The fact that people are bringing up this thing called hammer and scorecard as possible. I mean, we just had the Democrats for several years. Oh, Russian collusion, Mueller report, conspiracy is so possible. Now suddenly there's no conspiracy. The vote's fine. Just keep moving. I mean, this is so Orwellian in a way to a lot of us. So regardless of whether you want Trump to win, what you do want is a verified democratic election, because if this goes, everything goes. Well, socialism can go, right-wing fascism can go. Anything can happen.
That's where I'm going to agree with you. And that's why I think the common ground we have to find it, which is that people need to realize that it's not about whether you hate Trump, love Biden, love Trump, hate Biden. It's not about left or right. It's kind of what Judd's getting at. It is about whether or not you believe, and this is my issue, whether you believe America should what? Who won the election?
Who won the election? Obviously, that's who claimed the election. The media claimed that election. Let's see about the verification. Why is everybody in such a rush to put it behind
again, I understand why they are. Because,
for peace and certainty, but that's not a reality.
If the tables were turned, they'd be doing the same thing.
I wouldn't care on the other side. For peace and reality. Look at how long we hung. Nobody claimed it in the hanging Chad situation. It stood open for a while.
We're in a really divided time. Here's, for me, the underlying
I'm not upset. I just want legal process.
It's the underlying bigger issue to me. And this is where I think, the guy who's just said, Biden won. You got your victory most likely. I think it's most likely going to stand.
It's very difficult to overturn this. Let's be honest.
It's going to stand. It's going to stand. And by the way, you should be happy, but at the same time, I'd keep that happiness in check, because truthfully, Democrats lost a lot of ground. They expected a massive blue wave. They didn't get a blue wave. You didn't get a blue wave. You got barely won the election. The vote count's going to be pretty even, and you got a truly divided country. You have red states all through the middle. You've got most likely in 2022 a massive sweep in Congress of red and sweep in state legislatures. So, I mean, a lot depends on what Joe Biden does right now. And for me, the single biggest thing is, are we actually, are people willing to acknowledge the way the manipulation that the media and the social platforms do? It manipulated to your benefit, but are you willing to acknowledge how much they censor and check? You're not even allowed to steal the vote. What's the hash, the site steal the vote, and it's blocked? So steal the vote. I mean, steal the vote, and it says,
Dominion.
I mean, it had like 300,000 members, and it got blocked. And it's like, you're not allowed to say the election's been stolen. That's offensive to me. You're allowed to challenge it however you want. That's what our process is about. You don't get to silence the side that thinks it wasn't fair. If Trump had won and liberals were saying we're challenging the election, you wouldn't be allowed to go. You'd be allowed to do that. You can't be like, no, we're going to censor you. You can't say that. You can say it and be wrong. You're allowed to say it.
Yeah, but we're hopping. Look, we're hopping over the obvious of big tech. We were talking about censorship just a few weeks ago, right? And now we were talking about the seriousness of censorship. We were talking about the media. We were talking about politicized polls. Now suddenly everyone's like, oh well, just gosh darn it, we're going to have to roll on down the road. Even the Trump people understand. Look, if Hillary had any crimes, let's just use that as a hypothetical, like Nixon. If Obama or Biden had any crimes, there were 25 actual scandals, major scandals during the Obama years, right, that went unresolved. How are we going to overturn this? How are we going to get Biden's laptop? The elites don't get taken down in American justice. Once you're at that level, they don't get taken down. So the thing is Trump lost in the public forum. Even if he goes to court and win, it's going to be extremely difficult. He'd have to actually start messing with the Constitution in order to hold the office. He's lost because the elite doesn't get rolled over a system. It's broken.
Right. I agree with that. I agree with that. Look, that's why I'm saying,
I know we lost on that level, but we still need to run a legal process.
And I'm fine with that. What I'm saying is what's next for America is way more. Okay, Joe Biden, this is the part where I really get sort of the timeout on everything. I need, Biden supporters out there. You can say Biden won. Fair enough. You can say Trump lost. Fair enough. You can say Trump would have lost even if whatever jerry-riggering did. There's always some of that. Whatever, Trump still lost. Fair enough. These comments we're getting. I don't know what Bob. I don't know Reddit. I don't know what Bob.
Wait for the next. Say something, or we'll wait for the next comment there.
So
thank you.
What bothers me is just have the guts to admit that you didn't elect some visionary unifying leader in Joe Biden. That's what really
I think people know that.
They won't admit it. No,
well, they're playing the game right now.
Well, stop playing the game. Stop playing the game. I mean, Joe Biden is the guy. What bugs me, Joe Biden is the guy who literally somehow stumbled into being president.
He was a white guy that got a black guy elected in the past election.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Stumbled into
politics,
multiple attempts to try over his career. 50, 40 plus years in the swamp of politics. Corrupt as all of them are. I said it before, Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, all in there so long corrupt. In there, totally has no vision, no nothing, hides out in a basement, literally hides out, faces no tough questions, gathers tiny, small crowds, has any negative stuff about him not asked by the press or censored by social media platforms.
Scrutinized.
That is all true. Least scrutinized, but more than just unscrutinized, the attempts to scrutinize him blocked. Becomes president in a close race with a vice presidential candidate who's now the first black female vice president.
Jamaican
great, but had 3% of the vote in the primary. So one of the least popular people by the voters. Yeah. And a guy who kind of sort of fell in South Carolina. Biden wasn't a front runner.
The not Trump vote.
But no, but even the primaries, Biden wasn't really.
Decentralized media is the only vote.
Probably true.
And you know who'd have done that? Trump, the second.
So I'm finishing my rant. I'm just.
I know you're gonna have to finish the rant.
No, here we go. So if the point is, he literally stumbles in. If not for COVID, Biden doesn't even win the nomination. But Bernie Sanders was literally, like him or not, Bernie Sanders had a following. Bernie Sanders was poised to lead. He would have run the convention all the way to the end and made it a brokered convention for the Democratic Party. They blocked that, and COVID blocked that. Joe Biden sort of falls into the place.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, who has 3% of the vote, gets attached on. These two suddenly become hope and change for the future, and people on the street celebrating. The projection of that is like, what is it called? It's like not a Trojan horse, but it's like a, when you're not real, it's like a figurehead. They're like figureheads. Right. And to acknowledge that that's who stumbled into leadership in this country, the 46th president of the United States. I mean, hate Trump or not, Trump actually trailblazed the way in. Joe Biden literally got kind of defaulted in as a figurehead with Kamala Harris. Neither one were that popular. Neither one has much of a vision. And that's who's going to lead America. That's what bugs me. All right. And that's really bugs me. And people won't just admit it. We wanted Trump out so badly, we would have put a scarecrow.
Right before the show, I told Rob, I said,
no rants.
Don't rant. I said, with mac and cheese, we're talking smack. We're two Americans sitting down, independent, conservative. I said, whatever you do, don't rant. You can rant on R&L. I can't rant on Bullet Point because Michael is dominantly funny.
Michael won't let him.
All right, so look, we're going to stop for
Daddy won't let him.
We're going to stop for a pizza until today. We're going to stop for a pizza. Okay, so look, we got to get back to pizza for a second. Okay, Donald Trump. I don't understand that. Look, all right, so you got to take look. Any pizza is increased by red pepper, and this is a burrata pizza from Pitfire Pizza in West Valley. So this is going to change your life. This is the best.
Oh, I got to eat this.
This is the best salad pizza, caramelized onions and nuts.
This is what you know. What? For a conservative, salad pizza?
No, it's great.
No, salad pizza? This is not what pizza is.
I just want to tell you, I went and bought this. Pizza. I bought Amy's.
Let me take a bite of salad pizza.
Take salad pizza. I bought Amy's. It's horrible. So do not.
Okay, guys.
It's a good. It's actually great. It's actually great. What are you talking about?
It's all right.
This is horrible.
Here's the deal. This is like
it's good. Come on, everybody loves
California Pizza Kitchen kind of.
You got to drop your line and actually feel your
California
face
Pizza
right
Kitchen did this a while ago. Again, fine, but this is not what pizza really is. Pizza's
Did
like
you just throw that back on my plate. What are you give me?
Pizza's
COVID?
Pizza should be like cheese and sausage on a thin crust. Don't do that.
The government thing is the government thing's an overreaction.
COVID is real.
COVID
is real.
Exists.
COVID is a deadly, fast transmitting disease.
Very mostly slow compared to the flu season for shutting down the economy.
Fast.
No, they said 2 million people were going to shut down by COVID.
Open up America. We don't have a vaccine.
Few more people may die on the way back to recovery.
No, it spreads. We need to have a good policy. Listen, I agree. It spreads and it spreads. It spreads and it spreads fast.
Right.
We don't have a vaccine for it. We don't understand the full effects of it, and it's ridiculously brutal on old people and young old people and sick people.
In place.
I understand. I'm saying what I want to be clear about is one of the worst things that's happened in our politicization is that we turned a disease into red and blue. The red says it's not really a disease to worry about. Don't wear masks.
I didn't finish my statement.
The blue says, you know what? It's terrifying. We need to stay locked down and do whatever the government tells us and avoid all human contact.
All right. So we see your comment. Biden is just to face the Democrats, but people like what he faces. It's more what he's facing rather than his face itself. It's an interesting point. I mean, this is the not Trump vote, just like the 2018 midterms were a rejection of policy. We're going through the prior midterms were a rejection of policy. And Trump was the rejection of the Obama years. So we reject because we're too far apart.
But we need to stop electing to reject. Yes.
We're too far apart. That's why every election is now a rejection.
But we need to stop rejecting. We need to have a vision. And again, I'll be honest. I would be much happier if Bernie Sanders was president right now. Honestly.
I'm not with you at all. There was a huge force of people that wanted to burn down the country.
Let me tell you why I'd be happier if Bernie Sanders was president. Because I'm true to my ideals on this. Mm-hmm. Bernie Sanders stood for something. Bernie Sanders had a passion and a vision. Now, you can dislike that passion or that vision, but he had one. And he had a lot of people in America who wanted to support that vision.
Not the nation of Israel. He was basically quiet as a
you know what? I'm not saying I agree with all of his vision.
Didn't even put out himself as a man of faith.
Let me make my point. My point isn't about whether I agree with his vision. My point is he had a vision and he had truly a following, a huge following. He would have won the primaries if not for the DNC and the Democratic Party stepping in and being like, do not let this guy win and COVID. And all I'm saying is that at least is electing a person with a vision and a plan. Now, if he executes that vision, executes that plan, I'm not sure what happens.
His plan was destructive.
I'm not sure what happens to him.
Okay, I'm that guy in the office. It wasn't even grounded in reality. He's going to grab guns. He was going to free college. He's going to keep us on socialized health care. The guy was going to pull back on our military spending.
Here's my point.
The guy was a nut.
Here's my point. In 2 years' time, of Bernie Sanders doing that, in 2 years' time of Bernie Sanders doing that, you have the most massive rejection of that if it's not working. But at least it's
not same old the Democrats are bringing back.
It's pretending you're something else. Put a figurehead in, then who knows what you get? At least you know what you're getting. I prefer that integrity of that. That for me is what matters. And I'm tired of candidates like Joe Biden who literally represent nothing, or they represent whatever they want to be each new day. For fracking, against fracking, for the new Green Deal, against the new Green Deal, for, you get your own health insurance, you don't get. Like, literally, it's like he talks out of both sides of his mouth, which is what most career politicians do.
You're talking about Biden now.
Yeah. And that guy is now president, 46th president of the United States.
Well, he is what he is.
And
you're saying he is. I would say a lot of us hope that he still isn't. But the problem is, once again, elitists cannot be taken out. Look, the president is almost untouchable. Prior presidents, current presidents are untouchable. Besides Nixon, he got caught so red-handed stealing the vote. Everything else is so subtle right now. What if, let me ask you a question. What if scorecard, hammer, any other things, just packing the ballots, changing ballots, what if enough of it was to make an influence? Would you want Trump to remain president?
Yes.
That's the question. Well, if any liberal has a question for me, I'll just say, if he didn't win with clear honesty, if you're open to the consideration,
well, that's the issue.
If you're open to consideration, I respect your opinion. But if you're not open to consideration because you want what you want,
but that's not patriotic. Judd, I don't say this often. You've hit the issue right on the head. The issue is, an old CNN show I did a long time ago. I was a guest on. The issue is, are you open to consideration? And that for me is what this comes down to. You can disagree with what you think it is. You can disagree with what you think the right answer is. You can say, I don't think there was fraud. You can say, I think there was fraud. If you're not open, as Judd said, to the very consideration of if fraud can be shown, if it can be, and there's a legal process to show it, would you be open to letting that legal process go forward? Are you going to insist, no, we can't even talk about it? Again, when the Daily Wire editor wrote the other day in a tweet, I think this should go to court. I think there's enough evidence going on to at least raise questions worth investigating. For that tweet was censored as misleading information. How is it misleading information? Twitter censored that tweet. How is it misleading information to say, I think we should pursue an investigation in a court of law, which is designed to pursue investigations and determine fact, because I think there's enough there to investigate. That's an opinion saying, I think there's enough to look at, and for that, you're censored. That's not open to consideration.
Anything that challenges the election's validity right now, particularly scorecard,
but you should be open to consideration.
There's like five, yes. There's
that I would agree with you. I agree with you consideration.
It's a moment. We agree that Trump was better of the options. I mean, even though you're an independent, I mean, you have a lot of different opinions on things. Well, I feel like you stoke the flames of racism, tried to heal it sometimes. I'd say it's a big difference. Sometimes because you're saying, we got to heal this. We got to heal this. We got to heal it. I'm just talking about the way forward. And I'm like, okay, but if we keep saying there's a huge problem, we're actually pushing forward.
There is a problem with racism in America. I'm not saying it's what
I'm just talking about our differences as conservative and independent. I'm not saying that I don't acknowledge that. No, it's okay. But you've been talking the whole show. You agree that, of the options that Trump is doing something beneficial for the nation. But right now, the main point is it okay if it was stolen? And is there a way to reverse
the main point?
And are people being hypocritical by backing Joe when they know he doesn't really have a platform? I looked at his platform of positions. There was nothing new for the Democratic vision. They didn't have the Democratic Party hasn't innovated anything new. The Green New Deal, which is a failed policy. So what's new? What's exciting about Democrats?
Well,
what are they going to do for education? What's going to improve that? What's going to improve foreign policy? What's going to improve the economy?
Okay, there was so much there. There was so much.
I don't see anything.
No, look, again, for me, this all comes down to we're going forward. We're a divided country. Everybody running out, going, celebrating, and pretending now Democrats are going to be the party of unity. Get real. That is complete BS. Democrats aren't going to try to be the party of unity. Joe Biden's going to say unity. There's nothing in the last 3 or 4 years that suggests remotely that Nancy Pelosi was interested in any kind of unity. I mean, let's be fair to Donald Trump. Let's just be fair for a minute, okay? And I'm not a Trump supporter per se. I'm saying let's just be fair to him. He passed the first major criminal justice reform in 25 years, the Second Chance Act, right? First Step Act,
yeah.
Second Chance, first step. And literally, for the only one, the current president-elect, Joe Biden, if that's who he is, passed the most significant anti-black legislation in 30 years, the 94 Crime Act, which this is the first step to move. Trump passed that. Secondly, Trump created, although everyone said when he moved the embassy to Jerusalem in Israel, it was going to lead to chaos in the Middle East. Trump's the first president to actually get 3 peace accords in the Middle East and more coming. 3 major Arab states. Three major Arab states made peace with Israel in the last couple of months through the Trump administration's negotiations. That's huge. Iran has proven itself to be a massive implementer of terror. I've said that for years, and you got to say that. Okay, so those are just 3 things right there. Not to mention a record economy before COVID, and then China, Again, if you don't think China is going to literally go up your butt and blow it out your mouth, you're wrong.
If you look at the military, their military is advancing so rapidly.
China is out to be the most powerful nation in the world. And by the way, guys, China is not a nice country. China's government is not nice. Do you know why China has COVID under control? Because China literally will put you in jail, kill you, lock you up, remove you from your family if you don't do exactly what they say. It's a totalitarian government that orders everyone to do what they say, orders everyone to say what they want said, and will punish you without restriction, without hesitation, without mercy if you don't. That's what China is, and they are out to stomp on the U.S. Nice handshakes, don't mean anything. And if you're not aware that China's out to basically overtake the U.S. in every way possible,
do you think the average left-leaning voter actually thinks that? What did you hear from the Biden campaign about their position in foreign policy? I just want to ask, because I watched all the debates, I watched all the statements. I didn't see any organized foreign policy. Now, the good thing is that our government actually has a continuum that's greater than just the presidency, right? And unfortunately, Georgia TBD, it looks like the Senate's going to be in control. The market's like that. We're not going to go into extreme socialism. We're not going to go in the extreme direction. But there's a massive rejection that's going to happen if Biden and Kamala go crazy with the executive pen. So there are checks and balances.
They are going to go crazy with the executive pen, just as Trump did.
But we assume that it's over. Are we assuming it's over? I'm not going to sign up. I'm 75,
You're not assuming. I'm assuming it's over because, again, I think the only real changes are going to be in cases like Pennsylvania, where I do believe the Supreme Court could well rule that the state Supreme Court had no right to override the legislature. The legislatures in America are supposed to be the most powerful. Now, what I was saying about Trump is
the state legislature, you're saying federalism,
right? And that they said that's the date. The Supreme Court can't just go change that. The governor can't say I want to change it. He has to get the legislature to change it. The Supreme Court could well overrule that. Pennsylvania would go to Trump. Still not enough,
right?
But again, when I say Trump did some good things, the media won't even acknowledge. Has never been willing to acknowledge that. The Dems have never been willing to acknowledge it. So when you say unity, you're talking about unity after 2.5 to 3.5 to almost 4 years of trying to remove Trump from office, impeach him, making stuff up like Russia collusion, ignoring any accomplishments he did do. You can dislike some of the things he did as well. Ignoring all that to suddenly say we want unity, I think it's so insincere.
Well, there's not going to be unity.
It's not going to be unity.
Right.
And to expect Republicans to suddenly, or to expect the 77 million people who voted for Trump, who now basically are being called out, who's the co-host of The View or whatever, who called them all, everyone racist?
But Bear.
To expect all those voters to just be like, yeah, let's work with you. No, it's sad, but we're not. We're not going to have unity. We need to acknowledge that we need to find common ground. But that doesn't mean to pretend, let's all hold hands and say, no, let's all hold hands and go, rah, rah. That's not happening. And I don't expect it to happen, nor should it happen. Finding common ground doesn't mean we all hug and be like, we're all in agreement. That's not what's going to happen. And if that's if Dems want that, they're smoking a pipe, and they know that's not going to happen.
Dude,
they know that's not going to happen.
You got to back down, man. I mean, this is not the monologue to your show, and you got to talk to me. You got to talk smack this shit like that to Rob. Rob's like this seasoned show host. Right, like, be yourself, man. Let's be conversational. Right. Let's see what comes out. He's like, Rob's like, America, listen to me. Grab him on the neck. Okay, John. So, you want to have what we want to create. What we want. I will, because you called me out on the show. You called me a liar and a racist on the show.
I never called you a racist.
No, you said, yeah, that's true. You just said Judd is not a racist so many times that people are like, oh, Judd racist, right? Okay. Which I'm not. By the way. So,
see, now you're taking my own things. Judd saying I'm not a racist.
Which is the worst part, was when you say you're not. This country's gotten so bad, I can't even answer a white paging telephone. You know what I'm saying? All right, so thank you. Working on that all day.
Your jokes aren't as good when you work on them. They're funny when you just say them. him.
I just did.
No,
Thank you.
You've been
all right, so listen.
You've been rehearsing all week.
So no, I actually wrote that today. But listen, here's the issue: is you're calling out that there's going to be that they're being hypocritical and that we need to come together, right? Mm-hmm. But the truth is, there's 70 million pissed off patriots that have been awoken. That don't want to get along right now. We want what we want to do is we want to sharpen the pen for 4 more years. We want to get clear about conservatism, which, by the way, I'm going to pitch my book.
Oh, here it comes.
Here's a perfect
segue into his book.
Perfect moment. Hold on. This is my book, 13 and a half Reasons Why Not to Be a Liberal and How to Enlighten Others. Comes out in 2 days on Newsmax internationally. And what we have to do is, now that a lot of people are red-pilled, a lot of people red-pilled in the United States of America.
What does that mean, red-pilled?
Red-pilled means they woke up to individual freedom and anti-institutionalism through Trump, but they don't really understand fully what conservatism is. Conservatism is a philosophy of individual freedom that allows us, through our own individual choice, to thrive without governmental control. That is actually the natural state of enlightenment, of productivity, of connection, and American truth, right? So these are the years, and I mean this. You're going to go on your rant. My rant is, what do you do with losing?
Romantic.
What do you do with losing? What you choose? You go out and you get clear on why do you believe, what for, what's next. And we're not going to work. I'm not interested in working with Democrats. I'm interested in refining our vision and getting ready for the next cycle, because the diametric pressure, I don't want socialism. I don't want expansion of government. I don't want more rules in the registry. I don't want to restrict the economic markets. I don't want more racism. I don't want more cancel culture. I want a free America. So I'm not going to focus on making it easy for them. We're going to fight the whole way until the next cycle, and then it's going to rotate again. And that's America, man. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. We have to get along on some of the things that we get along on, but go ahead. He's looking at me. He's like, now you're ranting.
No.
We have to get along. Some of the things we have to get along, but we don't want to anymore because the system's broken. There's no shaking hands in the middle of the aisle saying, I'm going to give you a little bit of what you want.
No. The getting along is not. Let me clarify, because this is a good point. The getting along is not what you may think. I don't mean, and that's what I'm saying, the notion of the Democrats calling for unity and expecting Republican legislators, expecting the Senate, all this cooperation ain't going to happen.
It's like a toxic relationship. It's like a bad girlfriend for she's like, I'm normal now, honey. Let's go out. Buy me a diamond. And we're like, wait a minute, you're a psycho, babe. You wanted
good. That's good. You didn't write that one.
No,
you just
that's
came up
true.
With that now. Your comedy's best when you just come up with it on the spot. Authenticity in the moment.
Thank you.
So what I mean by getting along is, and again, I'm not interested in trying to define out the conservative agenda and the liberal agenda and how each one is right. I believe there's a vast chunk in this country, the majority of this country, that literally wants common sense solutions. They want change. They're tired of the way things are. They're tired of the corruption. They're tired.
But there's no path.
Hold on. There's a path. Okay. And I think there's a majority of the country. When I say get along, I'm saying, again, maybe get along is the wrong word. I said we're not going to get along. I'm saying I think we have to find common ground. And that common ground isn't what you said, a little handshake of like, oh, let's all do this right. Let's make nice. I think it is starting to recognize that most people in this country are sick of the BS from both sides. They're sick of the extremity. Yeah. They're sick of it all.
I mean, and Trump could have pivoted so minor and been, he could have. The Trump legacy for I mean, nobody on the right is going to say, pivoted. I wish Trump had been a little more irreverent and rude. I mean, nobody.
Trump could have pivoted.
I mean, we know that.
Trump could have pivoted and won the election.
Like a drunk uncle that you want to have at every party.
Trump could have pivoted and won huge if he would have been willing to kind of, instead of just sticking to his hardline rhetoric, been like, I want to bring the rest of the country in. I want to bring people in. I want to have a dialogue. I want to find common ground. He couldn't do it. It's not in his DNA. Fine. Joe Biden's not going to do it either. Joe Biden says that's what he's going to do, but Joe Biden doesn't stand for anything. So if you think the sleepy guy who lives in the basement for his entire campaign suddenly shows up with a vision for America that he never seemed to have before is somehow going to lead that unity sleep, you're really, really, really telling yourself a fantasy. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
So it ain't. So where we go forward is in 2 years.
Where do we go forward? Tell us.
Forward is, I think first of all, the most important thing we have to do right now is not about who's in office. It's not about crafting the agenda for the next election. That's important. Is we have to recognize whichever side you're on, there is a censorship process that's going on.
That's a common enemy. I am 100% big tech sponsorship.
Part of it is social platforms
stealing elections.
No, social platforms are tampering down views. Again, I used the best example I could, an opinion view from a Daily Wire.
Well, wait, they're big tampering tech was affecting elections. I wasn't. I
didn't say that, but I'm saying leave it alone for a minute. I'm saying the reality to you out there, because when he says affecting elections, when you say that, everybody who on the other side goes, oh, that's BS. So what I'm telling you is forget about whether you think they affected the elections. Look around you. They are censoring. I gave you the best example. I gave two of them. The New York Post being censored for tweeting a story about Hunter Biden's business partner.
Yep.
That wasn't true or false. They simply said that it was a story.
Yeah.
And the Daily Wire editor saying we should go to court, which is the legal process. Those are two examples. There's tons more. Mm-hmm. If you don't realize that that's social media tampering, shutting down voices, with a majority of the media who will only tell one side of a story. If you don't realize that's going to affect every one of us, it's going to affect you, the most liberal person out there. It will come around and it will bite you. Just like when Soviet Union was formed, Lenin and Trotsky got eaten up. Che Guevara got eaten up in Cuba. In China, it eventually comes around and suddenly you're not woke enough and you're censored. So that's the biggest issue we have to do. And the answer to that is people like us and others, we need to start finding ways to have our platforms and our voices get bigger. And we should be not just all in conservative camps. We should be in trying to find dialogues over the line.
Yeah, no, it's a great point.
But that's what I want. Everybody out there can be part of that.
In Jonah Goldberg's
bring the liberals in with us.
Great book, Liberal Fascism, which is a good read, left or right. What are the three things we have to be watched for? Guns, right? Faith, and information, media. So guns, we'll see what happens. There's like 357 million guns in our country.
Guns aren't going away.
I think we're fine.
Guns are not going away.
They would kill themselves if they.
Guns are not going away. Everybody on the right, stop buying the fantasy that Dems are going to take away all your guns. They won't. They can't. And even if they tried, Chicago is proof you can outlaw guns. And tons of people still have them. So your guns aren't going away.
Yeah, media and
guns are not going away. That's a right-wing myth.
It's not really a right-wing myth. It's the continual restrictions. Hey, man, I went down to go get bullets the other day, and I couldn't get them. I couldn't buy a gun because policies have changed this year. I couldn't get bullets that have changed this year. So before you say that minor legislations are not sliding toward our rights, listen, the liberal left is progression. What is progression? Progression is small movements away toward government, away from the individual. And that is an issue. And we have to pay attention to that. Here's why I'm going to call you out. You can't make it simple.
Judd, here's what I'm going to call you out. Judd, here's what I'm going to call you out for your hypocrisy.
Okay.
Then you owe the same thing to the left on abortion. Because they have the same argument, which is you're whittling away our ability to do it. Now, you'd say that's a matter of life. It's not the issue of matter of life or not life. Guns.
Wait, have you read
abortion,
my book on the abortion chapter?
I haven't actually. But I'm just saying.
But I'm saying left to the states. But I'm saying federally.
Okay, but I'm saying the notion. So I'm just saying in general, the notion, the left does the same thing around abortion. And it's like, again, I don't believe abortion rights are ever going to be fully taken away. I do think they will put restrictions on them. I think they will. They have. They will continue to. I don't think Roe v. Wade will be overturned, but either way, that would only mean the states could decide, and abortion will always be made available, as will guns. Now, some places may restrict that. That's up to states. We do live in a state-driven thing, but don't play one with the other.
So Amy Robertson says, I don't want only one way, which I assume, although she's got a Biden-Harris with a beautiful child and a mask, which is great. So congratulations on parenthood safety and your victory. And I mean that genuinely. I mean that genuinely. I mean that genuinely. And she says she doesn't want. No, don't. I'm not being offensive.
No, yeah, you were totally dissed her. You totally dissed her for being a mom. She's wearing a mask with her baby. You know what? You know what? She has a right to wear a mask. Hey, she doesn't have the kid in a mask. She has a right to wear the mask. Let's stop making masks some horrible thing.
Read her thing. So stop. That's cancel cultural sensitivity. That's not what I'm saying.
No, it's not.
So listen.
Not cancel culture sensitivity.
It's true, man.
It's not. I'm not canceling.
I was looking at her profile and acknowledging where she was covering, what she was. And she said, if you let me finish, is that she didn't want only one way, even though she is a Biden-Harris person with a mask and a mother. It's a point I was making.
Why do you got to point the mask out?
Because it's on the screen.
So what? I can see it. Why do you got to point out?
What do you mean?
She's a Biden-Harris person with a mask.
It is a profile that tends to fit together. People are a little bit more concerned on the left than on the right. A lot of us think that we should march forward in the economy.
Maybe she'd like to march forward in the economy too.
Okay,
maybe Amy wants to march forward.
Look at the Spanish flu. Look at
what she's saying. We need Republican and Democrat.
I'm getting there.
So I'm asking you to find the middle ground with her.
Stop you with a piece of pizza.
No, find the middle ground with Amy. instead of just,
I'm
going to give you a
going
little
there.
lesson here.
No, I'm going there.
Let me try to give
Okay,
you a
go
lesson.
ahead.
This is my opinion.
All
Okay.
right.
When you do that, and the left does it to the right too, pointing her out and saying, oh, there's a Biden person with a baby and a mask. Like,
I didn't say it that way.
You did. You said,
no, but listen, man,
your
that's the difference
parenting.
between conservative and independent. I will look at the truth and
No,
the reality
no, no.
of the situation.
The reality is,
parenting is important to her. Her mask and safety is important. Biden is important. And she said,
Okay,
anyway,
fine.
that's why I was
accept that.
She said, she said, anyway, I want a Republican and a Democrat. So do I.
Right, okay,
I want a balanced and
Good.
functional Congress. But here's the problem. A balanced and functional Congress is dead. I mean, if you look at the underlying legislations and how they move back and forth, we're going to continue to do executive orders, lockdowns, tampering with the courts, legislating from the bench because the system on the Hill is broken. We shouldn't legislate from the bench because people can't get laws
Amy
passed.
Robertson again. I'm going to stick with you, Amy. Thank you for coming back on and keep going. My husband is military. Congratulations to that. I know what I always get this messed up, but you say thank you for your service, but you're serving too if your husband's in the military.
That's right.
You know, but again, we just too much in the military.
We're living on an increased
and we are in a
salary made
mask
possible by
mandated
President
city.
Trump, who increased
And
salaries
Amy,
too.
stop making it partisan.
But no, that is true.
Can you beat this person where she is? Stop making it partisan.
Go.
So, Amy, what I want to say to you is, your mask mandated city, I don't actually know what your view about wearing masks is or isn't. Again, I've said a million times, masks work. It's just whether we should mandate them or whether we should, all kinds of things around COVID that we just aren't honest about. Again, you can go out and have massive protests celebrating Trump's victory. That's fine. CNN Jake Tapper says, I don't want to scold people, but maybe. But if Trump rallies happen, it's a COVID event spreader. That's what bugs me. Not people wearing masks. Healthy balance. We should be healthy and balanced about it. You wear masks to protect each other when necessary, but we don't have to walk outside.
I'm not going to sign off on this, Rob. The microns of the mask. Look, the guy right across the street, he's a COVID doctor. I said, what do you do? He said, we wear a full body suit, pressurized room with a hose.
Well, of course.
He said, what about masks? He said, they just make other people feel more comfortable. We can march forward right now with distance. We can march right. We can have more distance. Things can be more open. We're already doing it with sidewalks. Dude, let me tell you something. I know one person. I know thousands and thousands. I know one person with COVID. I know people actually get this flu and die. I haven't seen anybody coughing in the streets. There's tons of people on the beach. There's tons of people at the mall. There's tons of people everywhere. So government doesn't need to be involved at this level. That is a hoax. It was politicized this year.
Yes, and I've been living in Florida, and I can tell you, Florida, now I'm in California right now, Los Angeles. Two night and day scenarios. COVID is not worse in Florida or better in Florida, worse in California, better in Florida. The case counts aren't radically different. The death counts aren't radically different in the last few months. And yet, Florida people operate pretty normally. They put masks on when they go in places. You sort of feel it out with people. You decide everyone's comfortable. People are friendly. If someone's like, will you put a mask on? Whether it's because it's stopping it or making people feel better, people do it. Nothing wrong with that. LA is like the night of the living dead. Everyone's anxious, tense, and uncomfortable. So I agree with you. It's been politicized and it's been overreach on government and shutting down economies. Okay.
I love your name. It's like you're definitely isolating us to a certain network.
That's the only
Dr. F. We'll just call you Dr. F from now on. Dr. F.
Dr. F. It's the only path. So all I'm saying is I agree that COVID has been politicized. I agree. Term limits. I'm 100% for term limits.
There you go.
Well, that already advocated term limits. 4 years in Congress.
Yeah.
2 terms in Congress, right? And here's the big one. Here's the term limit.
I think senators are 20. You could give them a little bit of time.
20, no. 2 terms for each.
Yeah.
2 terms for each and a 10-year term limit on the Supreme Court. That's the biggest shortcoming that we put members of the court on for life.
That's interesting.
10 years, you get appointed. You can't be tampered with for 10 years. Nothing can happen in 10 years.
I really don't like touching the Constitution.
No.
I'm a
you know
little
what?
religious.
Thomas Jefferson,
term limits, I'm okay with that.
Thomas Jefferson said, people, you constitutionalists, Thomas Jefferson said, every generation should revisit the Constitution because every generation things are going to change. They intended us to have it be a living document. And the notion that Supreme Court justices serve for life, well, back then, that probably meant they were serving like 10, 15-year terms for the most part. They were appointed older and they didn't live as long. Right now, the notion that we can literally sway whole elections because you put people on the court who'll be there for the next 40 years is scary. Give them a 10-year term, maybe it's 15. And after that, they go. So you can keep the cycle moving and, and maybe you could even be reappointed.
How do I say this without you're saying I'm politicized to one side, but I just want to say I'm looking at the news. And it really is exciting how many women joined the Congress and the Senate.
Yes, it is.
It's fantastic. It was really, and historically, and I'm not here to agitate, but still the right has more of a history for defending civil rights. A lot of this was flipped and politicized and weaponized. There's been a lot of continued diversity and growth and inclusion in the Republican Party, even though we lost to Biden.
Yeah,
there's this whole thing underneath that was great.
I'm stepping out of partisanship. I want to address this. So Amy's become like you're our guest that's not talking with us on the phone. 9 months, my husband's been not allowed to attend church through the military orders in an open city. So I think what's interesting here is your assumption about Amy is a little off.
No, it wasn't. You're the one that made it a label. I understand the sensitivity of why you did so.
Amy clearly maybe has supported Biden, but clearly is not some left-wing wacko out there. Yeah. Amy clearly is like, my husband's in the military. She wants balance. She's like, my husband can't go to church. I want to be able to go to church.
Even though she's wearing a mask, being a good citizen, as you would say, she's also letting us know that her First Amendment, her free speech and practice of religion is being restricted.
Amy, two questions for you.
Wait, I just went to a casino and sat by 6 people, and we can't go to church, right? Because I'm a sinner saved by grace. That's why I went to that casino.
2 questions for you. One, would you define yourself as left, right, or center?
Amen.
Would you define yourself as left, right, or center if you would define yourself? What does wearing the mask in your picture mean? Since we got stuck on that, what does it mean? Judd said something, I criticized him for it. So I want to know, one, where you put yourself politically, not Trump or anti-Trump, you're clearly a Biden person, but are you left, right, or center in your own opinion, or liberal, conservative, or moderate, or independent? And why do you have a mask on in the picture? Just so we could actually have our viewers and all sort of know, since we, kind of took sides on that, Judd being a little more critical and me being like, hey, don't pick on her for it. So if you give us an answer to that's great. Now wait for the response.
We have 2 minutes left on the show.
We got 2 minutes left. Okay. Amy, we need your response in 2 minutes.
So I just want to say why we're waiting for Amy's response.
Oh, okay. First time in history a virus has been politicized. That's absolutely true. First time a virus has been politicized. And that's sad, guys. It's sad whichever side you're on.
Dr.
F. Thank you.
Come back, share the message. We're going to be every week.
Will you guys share this, please? Yeah. If you like this, follow us. Follow Judd follow at Bullet Point Nation. Follow at Rob Nelson Live, and share this with people.
Eventually, we might have to get a liberal. Right now, we have an independent conservative. As long as we can find the right person. Because I have to tell you, I love Democrats. I don't want it just to be left. I love independent. I love America. But I think we have to get over the fantasy that we're going to be able to work together as easily as we want. Yeah. We have to strike what we can. We have to take what we can take and get what we get. And that dynamic tension is going to preserve freedom. The federal registry is going to balloon up under Democrats. It's going to shrink down under Republicans. We're going to keep going.
Right. Amy, we got 1 minute. Are you there still with us, Amy? Did we lose you? Maybe Amy checked out right before we asked her for an answer. Do you not want to tell us?
Let's end with this. You're not going to eat that pizza?
I'm not going to eat your veggie pizza.
All right. So tell us what kind of food you like. So next week's Chinese. I've already made the meme.
When can we do
next
peanut
week's
butter?
Chinese. So we've done tacos. We've done mac and cheese. We've done pizza and hot dogs, and we haven't done hamburgers.
I think people should vote hamburgers.
It's Chinese next week. We're going up. What are you like? Is this a middle American only show? We're only eating fast food here.
Okay, it's going to be Chinese. Share this. Appreciate all your feedback, all your dialogue. We're not going to know the answer on Amy, whether Amy's a liberal or a conservative, or what the mask is for. But thank you for sharing all your stuff with us. Anyways,
speaking of the mask, thanks for taking yours off and being your angry self. No, I'm kidding. He's not. No, I get to see Rob unplugged. This is good. I used to have a show, Conservative
I don't
Unplugged.
want us all to walk around like this forever and not see people.
We'll go get tested together. We'll see you next week on Talking Smack over mac and cheese, and then the food of the week. Don't forget to catch Rob Nelson Live Show, which is every Friday at 6 o'clock PST, right? 9 o'clock EST. It's been an amazing show. Wednesday and Friday. Make sure to catch Rob's show. Catch my show, Bullet Point Nation. We're actually going to stream, courtesy of RNL Networks. Michael and I are going to stream right after this. So if you want to see us at Bullet Point Nation, please jump over.
Jump right over.
From Fox today. We're doing our live special. I've got a book coming out.
Okay, you already promoted it. Jesus, he's a promotion.
Come buy our book,
even if you're a liberal.
But most importantly, come back next week. Rob and I want to get raw here with you guys, and it's great to have you.
Thanks,
God bless you.